Hi everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a very specific and often frustrating error you might encounter on AWS Lambda. Cannot import name dependencies from urllib3.util.ssl when you're using a layer. This error can stop your Python Lambda function dead in its tracks, leaving you wondering what went wrong, especially since urllib3 is such a common dependency. Let's get straight to understanding why this happens and, more importantly, how to fix it efficiently. The problem, dependencies, is a constant that was introduced in urllib3 version 1.26.0. If your Lambda function or one of its dependencies tries to access dependencies from urllib3.util.ssl, but the urllib3 package available at runtime is older than 1.26.0, you will get this import error. This often becomes a headache with AWS Lambda layers because layers are designed to share dependencies, but they can also hide version conflicts. You might have requests or another library in your function's code that expects a newer urllib3 while an older urllib3 might be present either in your layer or, less commonly, in Lambda's default runtime environment. The key here is that the version of urllib3 being loaded at runtime doesn't have the dependencies attribute. This is particularly tricky because urllib3 is a fundamental library, often a dependency of requests, which nearly every Python application uses for making HTTP calls. So, why does this happen specifically on Lambda with layers? AWS Lambda provides a runtime environment with certain pre-installed libraries, but these might not be the latest versions. When you add a layer, you're essentially bundling your own dependencies. If your layer contains an older urllib3 or if your function's direct dependencies require a newer urllib3 than what's available in the layer or the runtime, you'll hit this conflict. The most common scenario is that you've built your layer with an older version of urllib3, perhaps indirectly through another dependencies requirement, or you've accidentally omitted urllib3 entirely from your layer, causing Lambda to fall back to an older, incompatible version in its default environment. Python's import mechanism will find the first urllib3 it can, and if that's an old one, the error occurs. The solution is to ensure that all your function's Python dependencies, including urllib3 and any packages that rely on it like requests, are explicitly bundled within your Lambda layer, and that they are all compatible versions. You need to create a self-contained environment. Here's how to do it properly. 1. Create a dedicated virtual environment. Always start clean. Python 3m venv. 2. Activate it. Source venv/bin/activate. 3. Install all your dependencies. Use your requirements.txt file. If you don't have one, create it by listing all your project's direct dependencies. Then, run pip install our requirements.txt. This will install all specified packages and their transitive dependencies, including the correct version of urllib3. Make sure requests is listed if you use it, as it will pull in a compatible urllib3. 4. Package for the layer. Once all dependencies are installed in your virtual environment, you need to copy them into the correct directory structure for Lambda. Create a folder named Python in your project root. Then, copy all the contents from your virtual environment's site packages directory, e.g., venv/lib/python3.x/site packages, into this Python folder. 5. Zip the Python folder. Compress the Python folder into a.zip file. This zip file will be your Lambda layer. 6. Upload and configure. Upload this .zip file as a new Lambda layer in the AWS console or via the CLI. Then, ensure your Lambda function is configured to use this specific layer. This process guarantees that your Lambda function uses the exact versions of the libraries you've tested with, eliminating conflicts with Lambda's default environment or other layers. Specifically, pip install will fetch urllib3 version 1.26.0 or newer if requests or other modern libraries are installed, thus including dependencies. By following these steps, you ensure that the urllib3 package your Lambda function uses is the correct, modern version that includes dependencies, resolving the import error. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you solve that tricky Lambda error, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tutorials on cloud development and Python. See you in the next one.